welcome to Songkla Rajapat University's English for Communication 1. This is Unit 2, Jobs. I'm Gary Linton and today we'll look at Part 2, Grammar. So this is how we use certain parts of language to put sentences together correctly. Today we're going to look at present simple tense. So what is present simple? It's one of the easiest ones. We just use the basic form of the verb here, the infinitive, or you might have been told it's verb 1. So that's the easiest form of the verb we all know. Eat, go, do, things like that. In English, we change the verb slightly dependent on subject. So with I, you, we, and they, it's the normal verb. I work, you work, we work, they work. But with the third person singular, or he, she, it, we add an S at the end. He works, she works, it works. So it changes the written version and your pronunciation when you speak. Of course, in English, it's never just as easy as add S. There's a few rules we should know about. The third person singular, the verb always ends in an S, but you can't just add an S to any word. The rules are similar to changing singular nouns to plural nouns. So that makes them a little easier. You don't have to learn everything from scratch. But here are the important bits you need to know. If a verb ends in a Y, the third person changes it to the Y to IES. For example, fly becomes flies. Cry becomes cries. Unless there is a vowel before the Y. Vowels A, E, I, O, U. If that's the case, we just add S. I play, he plays. I pray, she prays. Sometimes it's not enough to just add S, we have to add ES. So verbs that end in SS, X, SH or CH, we add ES. And those are examples. Pass, he passes. Catch, she catches. Fix, he fixes. Push, it pushes. Also, when it comes to using the negative and question forms, we use does with the third person of the verb to do. So instead of do, we say he wants coffee. Does he want milk? So you notice we don't say wants anymore. He wants coffee because he is the subject, but the want just becomes the infinitive. Does he want milk? And on the negative, he does not want sugar. We don't say he does not wants. Okay? So the third person basically applies to the verb do. Becomes does. And that's one to watch out for when we use negative and questions. So our third person singular, he, she, or it. But we don't always say he. There's lots of other things that mean the same as he for a subject. He is. My brother is. The policeman, singular. Our cat, if the cat's a boy. Thomas, a boy's name or a man's name. Grandpa. The nurse, assuming the nurse is a man. So he, she works. Mum works. Sally works. Our cat, if it's a girl. Thomas. Thomas? Oh, that's a typo. I'm sorry. That was supposed to be changed to Sally. Grandma. Grandma, she works. the nurse if the nurse is female. And it. So it we use for things or other objects. Susan's dog. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. My hair. This pen. These are things we'd use. Any of those would count as third person singular, where we can swap the pronouns he, she, or it to replace them. There's also other words where we're using to mean only one. Every one. We use one or body with most of these phrases. Everyone, anyone, someone, anybody, somebody, anything, something. Then we would replace that with he, she, or it. Okay, so when we use those phrases, we're using third person singular. And that affects the verbs. So here when we use it, he. An affirmative statement, the ANQ we saw in Unit 1. He works for the government. He doesn't work for the government. Does he work for the government? Susan works fruit at the market. That's a weird statement. That one, we should have changed the word works to sells. I sell, Susan sells fruit at the market. My mum doesn't work at the hospital. Does Susan work in your department? It works better than Windows 7. It doesn't work better than the old machine. Does it work underwater? So a question. And when it's unknown, the extra words I mentioned, everyone works well together. So everyone, you notice we put the S on the works. Someone does not work well with others. Does anyone work here? You notice the answer as well. Does everyone work well together? Yes, everyone works well together. Normally we change the everyone. We could say, no, everyone does not work well together. But we normally change that to no, no one works well together. So you might see slightly different responses like that. Thank you very much for listening. Watch out when you're using third person singular. Make sure you use the right form of your verb. It'll make your English sound more natural. Thank you for your time.